So think about some of the biggest names in music globally, right?
Yeah.
You know, the ones whose stories we think we all know, every little detail. Well, get ready because today we're diving into a life story that's as captivating as the voice behind it. And let's just say this singer and actress sold over 140 million records worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, 140 million. I mean, it's incredible. And, you know, a testament to the impact she had.
Absolutely.
But the name Dalida might be new to some.
Yeah, maybe not as familiar to everyone.
Right. But her story, trust me, it's packed with these amazing highs and some incredibly deep lows, phenomenal success, really personal struggles, all the things that shaped her into the legend she became.
Yeah.
So today we're going deep, right? Deep into the life and career of Dalida.
Yeah. Real deep dive.
And luckily, there's a ton of information out there, a lot to draw from. But, you know, think of this as your guide, a way to unpack the most important, the most intriguing parts of her story.
We want to give you the essentials.
Exactly, from her childhood all the way to, you know, her legacy and how she's remembered today.
And there's a lot to sift through.
Yeah.
Our mission, I guess, is to bring you the key takeaways, the surprising details, and just kind of paint a vibrant picture of Dalida.
Okay, so let's rewind all the way back, right? To the beginning.
Right.
Dalida was born Yolanda Cristina Gigliotti.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is. On January 17th, 1933, in Cairo, Egypt. Now, here's the thing. Even though she's born and raised in Egypt, she's actually Italian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Her parents were Italian immigrants from a place called Serastretta, Calabria.
Eh?
And her dad, Pietro, was a violinist
Oh, wow.
at the Khedivial Opera House in Cairo.
So there's music in the family right from the start.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And her mom, Filomena Giuseppina, was a seamstress. They actually had a pretty decent life, a two-story house in the Shubra district of Cairo.
Okay, not bad.
But her early years, you know, they weren't exactly a walk in the park.
Yeah, I bet.
There were some pretty serious health issues. Like, right away, as a baby, she gets a really bad eye infection.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking needing to have her eyes bandaged constantly.
Oh, wow.
Then, between 3 and 5 years old, she goes through multiple eye operations.
That's rough.
So tough, especially at that age. And then, because of all this, she has to wear glasses throughout elementary school.
I can imagine how that might have been.
Yeah, it leads to bullying, you know, and later on, she actually talked about how it made her feel so self-conscious.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So she ends up going to an Italian Catholic school in Shubra, and then, you know, World War II happens.
Yeah, major turning point in history.
Huge impact on her family. Her dad, along with other Italian men in the neighborhood, gets taken by Allied forces.
To prison camp.
To a prison camp, yeah. And he's there for a while, and when he comes back in 1944, he's just different.
Different how?
Well, a lot of people who knew him said he'd become violent. Yolanda, you know, she even admitted she felt hatred toward him.
Because of how he treated the family.
Exactly. And tragically, just a year later, he passes away.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, a brain abscess. So Dalida's only 12 at this point, going through all of that.
It must have been incredibly difficult.
So difficult. But, you know, despite everything, she starts showing this interest in the arts.
Really?
Yeah, as a teenager. And her uncle actually worked as a cinema projectionist, so she's exposed to that world.
That's cool.
Yeah, and she starts taking part in school performances.
So being on stage, performing, it's kind of in her blood.
In a way, yeah. But she graduates in 1951 and starts working as a copy typist.
Got to support the family, right?
Exactly. But her heart's still set on acting.
Right.
Now, here's a twist. Her best friend convinces her to enter this beauty pageant, Miss Ondine, in Cairo. And guess what?
She won.
She wins second prize.
No way.
But her mom, who had no idea about the pageant, she finds out and is not happy.
Oh, no. What'd she do?
Cuts Yolanda's hair short, like really short.
Oh, wow. Talk about a reaction.
Right. But eventually she comes around, and Yolanda actually ends up leaving the typing job to become a model.
Model.
Yeah, for a fashion house called Donna.
Okay.
And this is kind of her entry into the world of film.
Ah, I see.
A few Egyptian film directors cast her, and she takes on the stage name Dalila.
Interesting.
Yeah. She later said it was just a common name in Egypt, and she liked it.
Simple as that.
Pretty much. She appears in 2 movies, The Mask of Tutankhamun and A Glass and a Cigarette.
Both in 1954.
Both in 54.
Okay.
But her ambitions are bigger than Egypt.
Right. December
December 1954, she packs her bags and moves to Paris.
To pursue acting.
Yep.
But It doesn't sound like it was easy.
It wasn't. She goes to auditions, faces rejection after rejection. It's tough.
I bet.
She even has a brief relationship with, get this, Alain Delon.
Oh, wow. Before he was famous.
Yeah, when he was just starting out. So acting's not working out, and she decides, okay, maybe singing is my thing.
Makes sense.
She starts taking singing lessons, serious ones, with a guy named Roland Berger. And their dynamic was, well, intense.
Intense how?
Apparently, Berger was very strict, and she'd push back,
Ugh.
stand her ground.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes their lessons would end with her storming out, but she'd always come back.
Dedicated.
Totally. And Berger helps her get gigs at Parisian cabarets,
Quote?
places like Le Drop d'Or and La Villa d'Est. And at La Villa d'Este, Bruno Cocatrix sees her,
Wait, Cocatrix, like the director of the Olympia.
the one and only,
Wow.
and he's blown away. Calls her voice this rich palette of colors, talks about the volume, the gentleness, the sensuality, even the eroticism in her voice.
That's quite the description.
It is, and he invites her to this singing contest he's running, Les Numéro 1 de Demain.
The number ones of tomorrow.
Yeah, and around the same time, she meets Alfred Marchand, a writer, and he suggests she change her name.
From Delilah to Dalida.
Yeah, he thought Delilah was too tied to the biblical story, Samson and Delilah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So, April 9th, 1956, this becomes a huge date for Dalida.
The contest.
The contest. She sings Étranger au Paradis, and she wins.
Wow.
But here's the crazy part. Eddie Barclay, the head of Barclay Records, he was supposed to go to the cinema that night.
Okay.
But Lucien Maurice, the artistic director of Europe and Paris, he wanted to go to this contest.
He'd heard of Dalida.
They'd both heard of her, yeah. So they play a dice game, 421, to decide, and Maurice wins.
Fate. Right.
Total fate. So there they are, Barclay, Maurice, Cocatrix, all in the audience watching Dalida win.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
And they're all smitten with her performance.
What happened next?
Maurice, he doesn't waste any time. Gives her his card right there. A few days later, she auditions for him at his office.
Okay.
He likes what he hears, but he gives her some pointers, helps her refine things a bit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Then he introduces her to Barclay. They meet on May 2nd, 1956 at Barclay's office, and boom, she signs a 1-year contract with an option to renew.
That's amazing.
So Maurice takes charge of radio promotion. He knows how important that is.
Yeah, getting airplay.
Exactly. And Cocatrix, he's got this whole strategy for concerts. He wants to get people talking.
That's smart.
Very.
So what was her first song?
Madonna. Recorded in June, released in August 56. It gets some decent airplay on Europe and Degree 1.
Okay.
But it's the next move that really puts her on the map. Maurice, he commissions this French adaptation of Guaglione, which was a big hit in Italy.
Okay.
And it becomes Bambino.
Ah, Bambino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early December 56, it's released as a promo single, and people go wild for it.
Really?
Like, more enthusiasm than any of her previous recordings combined.
That's saying something.
It is. And Maurice, he's pushing it hard on the radio. It becomes the opening track on her debut album, Son nom est Dalida,
Her name is Dalida.
which comes out at the end of December.
So what happens? Does it take off?
Oh, it takes off. By January 57, Bambino is #1 in France. And it just keeps climbing, becomes a huge pop standard, not just in France, but in Belgium, Canada, Switzerland.
Wow.
It even knocks Doris Day off the top of the French charts.
No way.
Yeah. And culturally, it makes this impact. Women are copying her makeup style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rimmel products see this surge in sales.
That's funny.
It is. And men, they're captivated by her talent, her sensuality, her whole presence on stage.
I can see why.
It's Cocatrix, actually, who calls her the first sex symbol of the song.
Bold statement.
But it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And the chart success of Bambino, it's unprecedented.
How so?
It stays at #1 in France for 39 weeks straight.
39 weeks.
A world record at the time. And get this, that record still stands today.
That's insane.
It's amazing. Overnight, Dalida becomes a star, gets her first gold disc in September 57.
That must have been a big deal.
It was huge. First female artist in France to get a gold disc.
Wow.
And it really shows this shift in the music industry,
How so?
The performer is becoming just as important as the song.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Dalida, she makes her first TV appearance promoting Bambino in early 57.
I bet that got a lot of attention.
Oh, yeah. And immediately, her contract gets extended for 4 years.
They knew they had a star on their hands?
They knew it. And even in those early performances, she just had this beauty, this elegance on stage.
Understated, though, right?
Exactly. Nothing over the top.
Okay. So then what comes next? More concerts, More albums?
Oh, yeah. February 27th, 1957, she debuts at the Olympia,
The Olympia.
opening act for Charles Aznavour. And the applause, it's just thunderous.
Amazing.
Then, in April, a 2-week run of concerts at Bobino.
Keeping busy?
Totally. And by the summer, she's got her own fan club.
A fan club.
The first ever dedicated to a female artist in France.
Wow, she was really making history.
She was. And the hits keep coming. Miguel? Tu n'as pas très bon caractère, which actually replaces Bambino at the top of the charts.
That's impressive.
It is. And she's back at the Olympia in September, opening for Gilbert Bécaud.
Another big name.
Yeah. And get this, their names are the first two to appear on the Olympia's new red neon facade.
Oh, wow, that's iconic.
Right. Then, her second album, Miguel, drops, and she records Histoire d'un amour.
One of her most famous songs.
Absolutely. It stays in the French top 10 for 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and she gets her second gold disc. Her star's just rising and rising.
What's next?
Well, she starts branching out musically, dipping her toes into exotica.
Exotica.
Yeah, it was this blend of Western pop and non-Western sounds.
Oh, interesting.
And this leads to Gondolier, released for Christmas 1957.
Gondolier.
Yeah, and she does this memorable TV performance singing in a prop gondola.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's this, well, little wardrobe malfunction.
What happened?
Her dress strap slips down.
On live TV.
Yeah, and it kind of became this thing, you know?
Like a viral moment before viral moments existed.
Exactly. Some people saw it as her subtly pushing boundaries.
I can see that.
But Gondolier, despite the slip-up, it's a huge hit. Debuts at #1 in France and Canada, stays there for 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, her biggest hit since Bambino. The B-side, Pardon, that even hits #1 in Canada.
Showing her range.
Totally. Then comes 1958, and there's this funny story about Dans le bleu du ciel bleu.
What happened?
A radio programmer hears her recording it and loves it so much he asks for a copy and plays it on air.
Just like that?
Pretty much. And the station gets flooded with calls, people wanting to know what this song is.
Amazing.
And it shoots straight to #1 in France, replacing her own song, Gondolier, at the top.
That's got to be a good feeling.
It's incredible. And at this point, she's got 5 songs in the French top 10 at the same time.
5.
5. Never been done before. And she wins RMC's Singer of the Year award, the first of 6 in a row.
Domino.
Totally. And June 58, she kicks off her TDF avec Dalida 58 tour.
What's that?
Basically, she's performing in the cities that host each stage of the Tour de France.
So smart.
Right. Reaching this huge audience. And that summer, she performs in Algiers for French soldiers during the Algerian War.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of galas in France and Belgium, too. Woman's a machine.
Busy, busy.
Oh, yeah. And she releases her third album, also called Gondolier, records new songs, Je pars, I mon cœur, les gitans,
More hits?
gold disc after gold disc. And with Je pars, she even tries out some rock and roll.
Really?
Yeah, French rock and roll. And it actually helps international rock artists break into the French market.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Then, late 58, she's back on the big screen.
After a few years away.
Yeah. First, a spy movie, Rapto Deuxième Bureau. Then, a movie with Eddie Barclay himself, Brigade de Mur. They're both playing versions of themselves.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's a way to promote her songs, too. Inconnu mon amour, l'amour chante, et moi.
Clever marketing.
Very. And then she's back at Bobino, October 58, headlining for 3 weeks.
Back to her roots.
In a way, yeah. And she's promoting new stuff like Du moment qu'on s'aime, which hits #1 that week.
Always working.
Always.
So what comes next?
Comme prima. This becomes a big holiday hit.
Prima. Okay.
It tops the charts in January 59 and stays there for most of the winter.
Wow.
Big in France, big in Belgium. And get this, the B-side, Si je pouvais vivre un jour ma vie, it even hits #1 in Canada.
Showing her international appeal.
Exactly. And her biographer, Catherine Rihoy, she says all these live TV appearances, they really cemented her status as a beloved singer across all age groups.
That's awesome.
It is. And she kind of changed the game for late 50s television.
How so?
Her charisma just shone through.
I can see that.
Okay, December 58, things get interesting. She goes to New York with Lucien Maurice,
Okay.
and they meet Norman Granz, this huge American impresario.
Wow.
Yeah, he worked with Ella Fitzgerald. And Granz, he's so impressed with Dalida, he wants to bring her to Hollywood.
Right.
Offers her a 15-year contract.
15 years. That's a long time.
I know, right? But she turns it down.
She turned it down.
Yeah. Says her priority is her career in France.
Interesting.
Right. She's already a big deal there.
So, 1959. More touring.
Tons of touring, sold out concerts all over France, Egypt, Italy, Germany.
International superstar.
Exactly. And she starts recording her songs in multiple languages.
To connect with those audiences.
Smart move.
Yeah.
She actually spoke 5 languages and performed in 11.
11.
German, Arabic, English, Spanish, French, Greek, Hebrew, Italian, Japanese, even Dutch.
That's incredible.
She even sings Hava Nagila on TV in February 59.
Wow.
Yeah, then in March, the French Minister of Information gives her this big award, the Bravos du Musical, recognizes her as the most popular singer in the country.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. And then, summer 59, get this, she records Flemish versions of Ne jouis pas and C'est ça l'amour.
Flip.
Yeah, the only time in her career she sang in Flemish,
Wow.
trying to connect with the Dutch-speaking fans.
I love that.
Yeah, and then late summer 59, she gets her first truly global smash hit,
Which one?
Le jour où la pluie viendra, recorded in 3 languages,
Okay.
and it hits the top 3 in 6 European countries.
Wow.
But the German version, Am Tag aus der Regen kam, that's the one that exploded. #1 in Germany for 10 weeks, another gold disc.
Amazing.
It's actually still one of the most successful songs of all time in Germany.
Wow.
At the Berlin Film Festival in September 59, she gets a Golden Lion Award from RTL.
For being the best-selling artist.
Yeah, in Germany. And they play Am Tag aus der Regen kam during the ceremony.
How cool.
The single sells 500,000 copies, becomes her signature song in Germany.
Wow.
Meanwhile, she's still killing it in France. 5 top 10 hits that year.
Which ones?
Ciao Ciao Bambina, Guitarra Tambourine, both big successes.
Gold discs, I'm assuming.
You know it. And in Italy, she gets 2 awards, the Oscar di Popolarità and the Golden Wolf.
Best-selling artist again.
Yep, for the 2nd year in a row, she's on fire.
So, more touring after that.
Oh, yeah. Sold out concerts in Berlin, Athens, and get this, Cairo.
Wow. Back to where it all began.
She even performs at the Rivoli Cinema, the place she used to go as a kid.
That must have been emotional.
Very. Then, back in Paris, she does a 3-week run at the Théâtre de l'Étoile, and they actually install a jukebox there.
Because of her.
Yeah, she's nicknamed Mademoiselle Jukebox at this point. Most played artist on jukeboxes in France.
That's awesome.
Right. By the end of 59, she's released 2 more albums, Le Disque Dalida and Love in Portofino, and she's already sold 3.5 million records.
The highest-selling European artist at that time.
Exactly. It's official. Dalida is a global star.
Incredible.
The 60s arrive, and Dalida, she's just hitting her stride. T'aimer Fondement goes #1 in France and Belgium in February.
Okay.
Then her first world tour.
Taking it global.
Yep. And Romantica tops the charts in April. She's showing she can evolve.
Yeah.
But it's her 3rd release of the year that really cements her international status.
Which one?
Les Enfants du Pirée. Some say it's her 2nd biggest international hit after Am Tag aus der Regen kam.
Wow.
It's top 2 in 6 European countries and Canada.
Huge.
It is. Hits #1 in 3 of those countries, too.
So it debuts at #1 in France.
June 1960 and stays there for 20 weeks.
20 weeks.
And it becomes the first song by a French singer to sell over 1 million copies internationally.
That's a landmark achievement.
It really is. And you know the expression tube de l'été?
Hit of the summer.
Yeah. Well, that term was coined after the success of Les Enfants du Pirée.
Really? I didn't know that.
It's true.
Wow.
She ends up recording it in 5 different languages and even makes a music video for it.
A music video in 1960.
Yeah, for a TV show called Toute la Chanson, and it's pretty innovative for the time.
How so?
Well, she's singing on a fishing net with a wind machine blowing, giving it this dramatic effect.
That's cool.
It was a step up from the static videos of the time.
Yeah, for sure. So, more awards in Italy.
Oh, yeah. 2nd Italian Oscar di Popolarità, another Golden Wolf. Best-selling artist again.
Back to back.
Yep. But in France, she's not so thrilled about this new yeye music that's emerging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this very youth-oriented, upbeat style.
Kind of like early pop music.
Exactly. And Dalida, she sees these yeye singers as, fleeting. Here today, gone tomorrow.
It was catching on, right?
Oh, yeah. And all these youth radio programs were popping up, making music hall singers like her seem, well, a little old-fashioned.
A challenge to her established career.
Yeah. But she was smart. She knew she needed to adapt.
So what'd she do?
September 1960, she records a cover of Itsy Bitsy Pitty Bikini.
Itsy bitsy bitty bikini.
Yep, and it becomes one of her signature songs.
Wow.
And it's arguably the first big yay hit in France.
So she kind of embraced the style.
She took it and made it her own, and it worked. It becomes the second song to be called Tube de l'été.
The hit of the summer.
Even surpasses Les Enfants de Pierre on the charts.
That's amazing.
It solidifies her as a top singer in France and introduces her to a whole new generation of fans.
Smart move.
It tops the charts across Western Europe, Canada. It becomes her second million-selling record, 13th gold disc.
Wow.
Yeah, she was unstoppable. And then comes Milord, a more theatrical song.
Oh, Lord.
#1 in Austria, Germany, and Italy.
So her popularity is still spreading.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And her first album specifically for the Italian market is actually named after Milord.
Showing how important that song was.
Exactly. And then another massive world tour, a whole year, performing all over Europe, Canada, several Arab states.
Wow, she was constantly on the go.
She was. But then, in December 1960, she shows her versatility, releases an EP of French Christmas carols.
Joyeux Noël.
Exactly. And her New Year's Eve TV special, Réveillon de Paris, breaks viewing records.
How many people watched?
Nearly 6 million.
Wow.
She was a constant presence in French popular culture.
Yeah, definitely. So what about 1961? More of the same?
Kind of, yeah. More hits, more touring. But there are some significant moments, too.
Like what?
Well, she puts her own twist on Save the Last Dance for Me, releases it as Garde-moi la dernière danse,
Okay.
reaches the top 2 in France, and then another year-long world tour starting in Tehran.
Tehran.
Yeah, she performs in front of the Iranian royal family.
Wow.
I know, right? Talk about international recognition. And this tour, it's massive, almost 200 dates.
That's a lot.
It is. And the final leg includes her first solo residency at the Olympia.
The Olympia again.
Yep, December 6th, 1961. But there's some drama leading up to it.
What kind of drama?
Well, she just divorced Lucien Moraes.
Oh, right.
And she was doing more yay stuff. So some critics thought this residency might be a flop.
Really?
Yeah, they thought her popularity was fading.
But they were wrong.
Oh, so wrong. The show's a complete sellout for the entire month.
Amazing.
Opening nights even broadcast live on radio. And she gets congrats from Edith Piaf herself.
Wow. Edith Piaf. What'd she say?
She tells Dalida, "You are a winner, like me. After me, it will be you."
Wow. What a powerful statement.
Right. It's like this passing of the torch.
Yeah.
And Dalida sets a new record at the Olympia. Biggest attendance, longest residency, 52,000 people over 30 days.
That's incredible.
It is. And she finishes the world tour in Brussels at the end of the year.
A whirlwind year.
Totally.
Yeah.
And throughout it all, she's still releasing new Italian songs, getting international top 10 hits.
Like which ones?
Well, Pepe hits #1 in Austria and Germany in April 61.
Okay.
2 new albums, too. Dalida International and Loin de Moi.
She was so prolific.
She really was. And then, in the spring of 61, she signs a movie deal with Giorgio Simonelli.
Acting.
Yep. First leading role in a film called Chez Femina, e Cadoleri.
What a title.
It's a mouthful, right?
Yeah.
It gets retitled for French audiences as Parlez-moi d'amour.
Talk to me about love.
Yeah. And unlike her earlier films, this one's actually a commercial success.
That's great.
And it's her first time acting in color.
So what comes after the movie?
More touring, of course.
Yeah.